What is up, comic comrades? The hype for Spider-Man No Way Home is real and you know it. We already showed you a massive amount of Easter eggs and references that you probably missed in our last trailer breakdown of Spider-Man No Way Home, but today we're digging even deeper. Stay tuned till the end of the video and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe and click the notification bell. Did you spot Tobey Maguire in the trailer? As you guys know, people are more interested in Tobey and Andrew's Spider-Man to appear in the movie than they are about our poor guy Tom. But you nerds must have definitely fallen prey to Marvel's way of editing their teasers and trailers. Here's something that I noticed while watching the trailer. Before we see Doc Ock emerging from the smoke, Tom's not even wearing his Spidey suit. So how did Doc Ock recognize him and greet him with "Hello, Peter"? This right here makes me think that there were actually both Tobey's and Andrew's Spideys teaming up with Tom on the bridge. As you can see, there's some empty space behind Tom's Spidey in this scene. Maybe Marvel cut the other Spideys out because they didn't want to reveal much. Who knows? So my money's on Doc Ock actually talking to Tobey and not Tom. Marvel also made a small reference of Tobey's clothes from the third Spider-Man movie. They thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. One moment in time. Our first look at Spider-Man No Way Home revealed that Peter Parker will have his secret identity restored, using the same way he employed in the comics, Doctor Strange. This revelation amazed many fans, despite the last Spider-Man film, Far From Home, ending with Mysterio posthumously revealing Spider-Man's secret identity to the world, and the promise that this would be a huge portion of the sequel's plot. The trailer showed something of how being ousted as a superhero had made Peter Parker's life harder, with the paparazzi harassing him on the streets and his relationship with MJ suffering. This in turn made Peter approach Doctor Strange, whom he had made friends with during the events of Avengers Infinity War, and request the Sorcerer Supreme if he could cast a spell that would cause the world to forget that he was Spider-Man. Unexpectedly, Strange agreed. But the cost of that spell will obviously have dire consequences that both Strange and Spidey will have to manage. This is essentially a streamlined version of the events of the Amazing Spider-Man comics, and how Peter Parker's secret identity was restored following the events of Marvel's Civil War. You see, originally Peter Parker did reveal his secret identity to the world deliberately to help Tony Stark promote his Superhuman Registration Act. Soon after that, the Kingpin attempted to assassinate Peter, gravely wounding Aunt May in the process. This led to the controversial One More Day storyline, in which Peter and Mary Jane Watson made a deal with the demon Mephisto to save Aunt May's life at the cost of their marriage. Now, put aside that story was based around the ever-responsible Peter making a Faustian deal rather than face the consequences of his actions. Many fans also disliked One More Day because of the many continuity snarls caused by erasing Peter and Mary Jane's marriage from the timeline. Then Marvel comic editor-in-chief Joe Quesada attempted to address these problems with a sequel to One More Day titled One Moment in Time, which revealed how Peter and Mary Jane's wedding played out, and how the world came to forget that Peter Parker was Spider-Man after the events of Civil War in the new continuity. One Moment in Time revealed that Mary Jane had been fatally wounded after attempting to defend her Aunt Anna from a second assassin the Kingpin had sent to take out all of Spider-Man's family. Taking MJ to Doctor Strange for treatment, Peter asked the Sorcerer Supreme if he could do a spell that would change reality so that nobody remembered he was Spider-Man. After checking with Tony Stark and Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange decided to help, and everyone aside from Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson forgot who Spider-Man was, even if they had already known Peter's secret identity before he exposed himself to the world. It was daring for the producers behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe to end Spider-Man Far From Home with Peter Parker's secret identity being revealed. However, it may be braver still for them to reference comic book storylines as widely hated as One More Day and One Moment in Time. Thankfully, while it is still unclear which villains will be appearing in the movie, it seems safe to say that the demon Mephisto will not be among them, a fact sure to please many comic book fans. Unless Doctor Strange is not who we think he is. Strange is usually a serious fellow with a respect for magic, but here we find him lounging in sweats in an icy and snow-covered Sanctum Sanctorum. Naturally, that's very weird. And not only that, but the Sorcerer Supreme seems very relaxed. He immediately agrees to help Peter with an out-of-character wink. "Don't cast that spell," Wong advises him harshly. "It's too dangerous." Strange's like, "Okay," and then takes Peter right to his creepy basement to cast the spell nonetheless. There, the sorcerer does a spell that makes everyone in the world forget Peter is Spider-Man. But Parker suddenly realizes that that means MJ, Ned, and his Aunt May too. And despite the fact that he's the Sorcerer Supreme, Strange seems to struggle with Peter's indecision, and the spell goes wrong and maybe creating a multiverse of madness. Thanks, Steven. All of this seems incredibly out of character. Add that to the fact that we see Steven pushing Peter's soul out of his body later in the trailer, and so we're proposing that Steven might not be Steven at all. In fact, there may be something wrong with Doctor Strange. But if that's the case, who is posing as Steven and why? Maybe he's a Skrull. With the Secret Invasion series on the way, we have to put that out there as an option. Not only because the Skrulls are known shapeshifters and exist in the movies already, but also because Far From Home established that Nick Fury had been using Skrulls in place of himself while he was on vacation. So there's already precedent for heroes utilizing their new alien allies as decoys when needed. Question is though, could a Skrull actually use magic? In the comics, Super Skrulls are an exclusive squad of Skrulls who have been adapted using science and magic to have superpowers themselves. This has allowed the aliens to take the place of some of Earth's most famous heroes while also being undetectable. So, if the Super Skrulls are already on Earth, perhaps one has taken Steven's role? Remember, Skrulls can range from evil villains to inept charlatans, and while whoever this is ends up causing a multiversal incident, it seems like that's more of an accident than intentional. Maybe, just maybe, a Skrull with the skill to do magic was assisting Strange by playing him. Or it could be that he's been swapped by one without his knowledge while he's out hunting Wanda. Either way, it would explain Steven's strange behavior and his absence of tact when helping Peter. If we're thinking of the most probable choices, we can look back to Stephen Strange's comic book history. Over the years, the Sorcerer Supreme has frequently made copies of himself to distract villains. The spell Images of Icon goes as far back as 1965's Strange Tales issue 130. We have seen him do similar stuff during his battle with Thanos in Infinity War and versus Dormammu in his movie. So there is a chance that Strange created a lasting duplicate here, one who's stopping New York from seeming vulnerable while Strange is off on vacation. That would be quite the leap from a simple duplication spell though, but Strange is incredibly powerful, so we're not writing this one off yet. In the comics, when Strange is off-world, others would sometimes take on the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme in his stead. Even Loki himself did it once. Although they wouldn't take on his appearance, a version of that could be happening here. And let's not forget the Sanctum Sanctorum's perpetual state of winter in the trailer, which leads us to another option. In the Marvel Universe, Canada's most potent magician is Dr. Michael Twoyoungmen, also known as the Shaman of Alpha Flight. Originally from Calgary, Shaman is no stranger to the cold. Perhaps we can say he even prefers it. That could explain why the Sanctum is covered with snow and frost. If Shaman is impersonating Doctor Strange while the Sorcerer Supreme is off saving the multiverse, Wong may have offered to let Shaman truly make himself at home. That might also explain why Wong tells Strange off when Peter asks him to cast the spell. It's something that doesn't fit in with their typical banter. And because plowing into peculiar comic history is fun, we're also going to point out that villains love to impersonate Strange. And when we say love, we're not exaggerating. Here are just a few of the bad guys who have pretended to be Steven: Baron Mordo, Rintrah, Asmodeus, and Mephisto's son Blackheart. Hell, even the X-Men hero Magic once pretended to be Doctor Strange. The big connector here is that they are all magic characters, but it's unlikely to be any of these except maybe Baron Mordo, although he seemed a lot less fun in Doctor Strange. It's just important to note how frequently Steven gets impersonated by other characters. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. Mysterio. But what if the good Doctor is actually the treacherous Mysterio? While Dr. Octopus and many familiar faces from previous movies are confirmed to appear, fans are diving deep into their theories, such as the return of Mysterio. The previous installment left viewers breathless when Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, revealed the identity of Spider-Man to the world, meaning that Peter Parker's life in No Way Home is going to get very messy. Not only that, he is framed as the murderer of their beloved greatest superhero of all time, as J. Jonah Jameson says. As the anticipation develops, so will the outrageous fan theories, and one of them includes the resurrection of Mysterio in No Way Home, which, to be honest, isn't unbelievable since anything could be fake now thanks to William, Stark Industries' former scientist that escaped with the technology in the last film. Maybe he knew that Mysterio is still alive and might need all the info to get the drones back up and running. While there has been no official news of Jake Gyllenhaal reprising his role in the upcoming movie, people have been throwing their doubts into the mix. Some fans think that Doctor Strange was acting out of character in the trailer, leading them to propose that the Doctor is actually Mysterio in disguise again, like the many occasions he shapeshifted in Far From Home. With the power of his drones, Mysterio might have faked his entire death in the last film, as part of a bigger scheme with the other members of Sinister Six, including Doc Ock. A piece of, quote, evidence fueling rumors is the art spotted on the set of the movie. The newly designed logo shows Mysterio's fishbowl helmet decorated with "I believe" on a poster. While it undoubtedly refers to Mysterio, we don't think it confirms his appearance since it just shows that the New Yorkers support the hero and not Spider-Man. There are also allegedly promotional designs for Mysterio in the new film, but for now, we all accept that they are fan-made since Sony and Marvel have not released anything similar yet. Dr. Octopus.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Speaking of Doc Ock, we saw at the end of the trailer Otto Octavius, played by Alfred Molina. But who was he talking to? Fans have since proposed that the reveal in which he can be seen saying "Hello Peter" all but confirms the return of Tobey Maguire. Theories state that the finished film will reveal that Molina's character is actually talking to Maguire's Spider-Man at this particular moment. The pair was last seen on screen together in Sam Raimi's 2004 sequel Spider-Man 2, in which the 8-limbed Doctor sacrificed himself to save the city. During the movie, his 4 mechanical weapons are equipped with a globe at the center that would glow white when Otto Octavius was in control, but would burn red when the artificial intelligence inside his body took over. Viewers of that film might not remember that when Dr. Octopus died, the AI was in control, with the mechanical arms burning red, and the trailer for No Way Home shows that these arms are still burning red. This theory proposes that his appearance in the trailer may mark his first arrival on screen in the finished film, and could reveal something quite important, that while it's been 17 years since Spider-Man fans last saw him on the big screen, it might have only been a matter of seconds for the villain. His young, de-aged appearance also suggests that. Now, let's talk about the other members of the Sinister Six. We already saw hints of Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, and Lizard, but who will be the elusive last member? There are 3 supervillains Spider-Man fought in the previous installments that could technically fill the 6th slot. We know Vulture is still alive, and we already talked how Mysterio could have faked his own death. Also, at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, we have a formal introduction to Mac Gargan, actor Michael Mando, and we see him talking to Michael Keaton's Vulture in prison. 4 years later, we're still waiting for him to suit up as the Scorpion. But what are the other multiversal options? Yes, people are talking about Paul Giamatti's Rhino. He appeared at the tail end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. We don't blame you if you forgot, we did too. Sony seems to be setting him up for bigger things, but as we all know, there was no Amazing Spider-Man 3. So maybe being baddie number 6 is Rhino's redemption at last. Or probably not. After the Garfield Spider-Man movies failed to make quite the splash that the Maguire ones had, Sony turned to Disney for help producing a new set of Spidey films, all co-produced by Sony and Marvel. However, the 3-picture contract ends with Spider-Man No Way Home. The deal almost fell apart before No Way Home ever saw the light of day, but drunk Tom Holland managed to convince the big honchos at Sony that more movies are good for everybody. Indeed, Sony fully intends on building out an entire Spider-Verse without Disney, and has begun producing films for some of Spidey's greatest villains, including Venom and Morbius. These villains do exist in Spider-Man's world. Keaton's Vulture, the main villain in Homecoming, appears in the Morbius trailer, so maybe those characters are the hidden aces of No Way Home. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and Morbius are both coming out in the next year, unless the Corona Delta variant turns out to be the last Sinister Six member and delays everything again. So, that was our deep dive of Spider-Man No Way Home. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and please don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We have a lot of new Spider-Man videos, and you can't afford to miss it.